Hello, how you guys doing? Welcome to the Messy Sweet Spot. I am your host Gigi, and as you guys can see, we are at a different location. I am on vacation right now for the holidays, so please excuse the background, but there are breaking stories that I could not sit on, and I needed to let you guys know what was going on. Nancy Grace, we all know her as a legend, as an icon when it comes to breaking down true crime stories. She is telling a tale of Diddy you guys never heard before. She has proof and receipts and videos of a room in Diddy's tunnel. Yes, a room in Diddy's tunnel. She describes it as it's mirrors everywhere, from the ceiling to the floor, all around. He was obsessed with watching any and everybody. She also tells and confirms they are major celebrities, big people, politicians, government, you name it, that are paying off so these videos won't come to air. But the people are demanding that we know the names, who is trying to get this video taken down, who is paying, because they were involved with minors, and we need to know. We are so sick and tired of them being protected, and they're going to do it again. So let's listen to what Nancy Grace have to say about this case. I just want to say thank you all for the support. I really appreciate it. Happy holidays to you all. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here at the Messy Sweet Spot, and let's hear what Nancy Grace have to say about.
Breaking news tonight, Freak Diddy. Eyewitnesses describe floor, walls, and ceiling $500,000 of mirrors. Floor, wall, and ceiling covered in mirrors for, quote, wall-to-wall debauchery at Sean Combs's sex freak-offs. Prosecutors say a ruse for this, as a lawyer warns celebrities pay up or face reputation-damning lawsuits. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
Ray J, a longtime friend of Diddy, claims celebrities in Combs' inner circle are so scared of being dragged into legal action that they're seeking out potential accusers and offering cash to keep their names out of the lawsuits. Ray J says unnamed celebs have even approached him as a possible vessel for leaks due to his friendship with Combs.
Joining us, an all-star panel to make sense of what we are learning tonight. Let's move off of the $500,000 worth of mirrors. I guess so Diddy can see sex no matter where he looks, up, down, or sideways. That's a whole nother can of worms. Joining us tonight, special guest Courtney B and his lawyer Ariel Mitchell. But first, to Hermania Rodriguez, chief U.S. reporter with the Daily Mail and star of the podcast, The Trial of Diddy. Hermania, thank you for being with us. What am I hearing that celebs are offering people? Not only are they being threatened, either pay up or you're going to be part of a smear campaign, but that they are actually paying alleged victims not to testify?
Well, this actually came from another hip-hop star, Ray J, who claimed that he knows that celebrities are scared out there and reaching out to potential victims and offering them money in a typical catch at keep story. So their names never come out in these stories.
So I guess the short answer to that would be yes, and you're right, Hermania. It's all coming from Ray J. Listen.
I'm hearing about artists paying victims to keep their name out of it.
Do you know people who have had demands put upon them where they have paid off to keep this quiet?
Here's what I do know. People do catch and kills all day. And a catch and kill, I don't know if, of course you know, but for the regular world, Somebody has the truth, somebody pays you to keep it quiet, and hopefully that money that you got paid secures your happiness while you watch the lie continue to succeed.
I want to just make sure I understand you. What you're saying is what? That you know people who have been approached by women, men, whatever, who have said, give me money and I won't talk?
Here's the other way around that, Harvey. I'll give you money, please don't talk.
Sounds like Ray J is doing everything he can not to answer a direct question from our friend Harvey Levin at TMZ. That's where he got that footage, and it's from their new docuseries, The Downfall of Diddy, Inside the Freakoffs, and you can see it. It's streaming on Tubi for free. Okay, let me understand what I'm hearing. Joining us, Ariel Mitchell, who is very intensely involved in this case, representing a client involving allegations against Sean Combs. Ariel Mitchell, what I perceive, what I interpret Ray J saying, and Levin's trying to nail him down, is that people, celebs, and others are willing to pay to keep their name out of this case, out of Sean Combs' case.
I think what Ray J was saying is, in general, these catch and kills are happening every day, all day. And they will continue to happen. But in this situation, any lawyer who sends out a demand letter would send it out to anybody they intend to sue, which would probably be to individuals related to Diddy who that case may affect. So to that point, I think that is happening. Before I filed my first case, I did reach out to several individuals who we ended up filing lawsuits against to see if they were interested in settling, pre-litigation settlement is what it's called.
They want to talk to me. They want to talk to me about what happened to them. They call me. They feel like they can trust me.
Wait a minute, calling you for what? Calling you for what?
Because they want to tell me about certain things that happened with them and Diddy.
Ray, I want to make sure I understand this. Are these high-profile people calling you because they've had some affiliation with Diddy that they don't want to come out, and they think you might be the vessel for it coming out? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I don't even know why I just said it, but I said it, so what? Now they gotta be mad. Come get me.
Were they specific about what they did with Diddy?
I don't want to say. I think I said too much.
Sounds like to me Mr. Ray J needs to be talking to federal investigators and not to Harvey Levin, my friend. Of course, I'm glad he did speak to Levin, and Levin is trying his best to nail him down for answers. That video you just saw is from our friends at TMZ from their new docuseries, The Downfall of Diddy, Inside the Freakoffs. And there are allegations coming from other angles in addition to Ray J. Listen.
In my view, if you were there and you knew somebody was being drugged because you had seen it happen in a previous party or a previous situation, and you didn't do anything, and you allowed it to happen, and you continue to enjoy yourself and party and whoop and holler and have a good time, as far as I'm concerned, you are just as liable as the individual who shipped the person in, who paid the persons that were there, who kept them longer than they thought they were going to be there, who bought the drugs, who took the money out of the bank, who put the drugs in a little shot of either a lemon shot or some sort of champagne, and participated in this egregious conduct. You're just as guilty as far as I'm concerned.
Hermania Rodriguez joining us, chief U.S. reporter with DailyMail.com and star of the Trial of Diddy podcast. Hermania, what exactly is the lawyer saying?
So this lawyer says he's representing more than 100 victims of Diddy, and he has said that the victimizers include other celebrities, businessmen, politicians, and he said that he has already sent letters demanding that they pay up if they don't want to face civil lawsuits for what they did with Diddy, allegedly.
Joining me now is a special guest, Courtney B. Now, you may know him by his full name, but since he first went public about his knowledge of the Sean Puffy Combs case, he has actually been getting death threats. Straight out to you, Courtney, thank you for being with us. What is your connection, or was your connection, with Sean Combs?
Connection is just being in the music business together. You know, I came up with Tupac, he came up with that.
Let me talk to you about the current case against Sean Combs, Mr. B. What kind of death threats have you been getting since you first came out with your knowledge?
They called me pieces from Little Italy, in New York, and from Maryland. They all started calling me pizza. It was a thing said on YouTube or Instagram that him and his son said, get rid of pizza.
Courtney, you state that you have tapes of freak-offs. Did you take the video yourself?
No, I never was in the company of, never went to a party.
Then where did they come from?
Stuart gave it to me. He was on the phone with Kim. We was up in Atlanta recording with this artist I had. And they lightly asked me to cut his hair. And then after his hair was cut, somebody called and said, will he go out to dinner with me, stay the night? And I got real furious over it. I said, no. And I was going through a hall, that's just Mr. Stewart was there. And they said, hold up, I'm gonna talk to my man, Courtney B. And I heard a voice say, Courtney B, I know him, put him on the phone, said, you don't know Courtney B. She said, yeah, tell him it's Kim. So he put it on speaker, he said, yo, someone wanna speak to you, it's Kim. And I didn't really want to talk because I brought this guy all the way to Atlanta from New Jersey to record, to sign over to Raleigh. But they told him cut his hair. He said, Court, I can't cut my hair. My grandmother and my mother grew him as a kid. So I had to convince him to cut it. Like, this is what they wanted. They went from haircutting to sleeping with him, to going to dinner, to, you know, and it got me so fed up. I didn't want to talk to him or Kim at the time. So when I was out in the car, going back and forth on the phone, he came out and said, yo, she really want to talk to you. She got something for you. I said, I'm going to the hotel. He said, where you at? I said, I'm staying at a house out at the airport. So he came and he gave me the flash drive. I thought it was an artist. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was something she wanted me to hear. At the time, I had explained to this mother and father that her son is not being signed.
Are you telling me that you got the tapes from Kim Porter? They were given to you through an intermediary from Kim Porter?
Yes.
Okay. What do the tapes depict?
It depicts sex, people getting high, drunk, a lot of celebrities, words that she made like it was a diary or a memo or whatever it was. At the time, that's between the first one I got was 2008, and then his wars came, and then he was killed. So it scared me a little bit because he got killed, and then Chris Lightly got killed.
In the videos, in the tapes, Courtney B, do women appear to be drugged or drunk?
Compared to be stuck, like in a trance, because one of them was on the table and they was eating off her. You understand? And they was, you know, I'm looking at this girl straight naked and she don't feel like she embarrassed or anything. Water poured on them, whatever it was, tubs. Yes, it seemed like there was more in the trance than more than drunk. So when you're drunk, you usually slur.
A trance.
Yes.
What else did you observe?
I observed a lot. It was a lot. You know, I didn't watch it all because I don't like seeing two males having sex. I'm not into it.
Courtney B, you state that you don't want to say too much because of, as you said, Homeland, I think you said. Then why, may I ask, did you give a press conference?
Because then people started, someone tried to extort me. Said, if you don't give me more stuff, I'm going to tell them who you are and who you got the stuff from. So I didn't want it to go past me because people got famous and I got famous. So I came out and gave said I was the one who gave him the memoir, the book.
Do you have an unedited manuscript of Kim Porter's book?
Yes.
What do you make of claims by her children that the memoir was not by her?
I look at it, it's their mother. They want to defend their mother. But you got to understand, other people was somebody's mother and daughter as well. I believe the sons had something to do with it as well, because how the film was shot, Diddy couldn't control the focus on it. Two, that I think they anticipated in some. And of course, you know, it's their mother who don't want it. And I'd like to apologize to the family about the mother. I didn't put a picture on the book. That wasn't my work. I think she got to a point that she was with it, because it showed that she was foursome, couples on couples, and her lover was in there, who she was a sexual with. So, you know, a scorned woman going to say her last words to be known.
Courtney B, what do you think about Ray J's claims to our friend Harvey Levin?
It's not a claim, it's a sign to let them know that he's trying to get up money. He don't have anything on it. Diddy not going to trust him with no tapes or anything. He was Diddy little boy toy himself. So what he did, he's letting them know to pay him so he could help with Diddy and his family. You know what I'm saying? Who trusts Ray J? Diddy helped Ray J with Fabulous, when something was going on between Fabulous and Ray J. He got Fabulous leave Ray J alone. What he doing, he's scaring people out there so they could come to him and put up money.
In another resurfaced video, singer Machine Gun Kelly, or MGK, describes his wild Las Vegas New Year's Eve bender with Diddy when he was just 20 years old. MGK says Diddy escorted him to 9 clubs on New Year's Eve, paying for roughly 270 bottles to supply them and an entourage of women. Eventually, MGK tried to say his goodnights, but Diddy told him, "We're not going to sleep." The singer says the partying continued for more than 48 hours. A former party planner for Sean Combs reveals the rumor that most Diddy parties devolved into orgies are true. The planner also claims the parties averaged a $500,000 price tag for food, alcohol, decorations, and entertainment, including acrobats, live animals, and entertainers that Combs called models, who were obviously hired sex workers. For one event, Combs demanded an entire room be covered in mirrors so the debauchery could be viewed from every angle imaginable. The planner says Combs' vision was sex everywhere you looked.
$500,000 to cover floors, walls, and ceilings with mirrors so Sean Combs could, quote, see sex everywhere you look. That was his, quote, vision. Did Sean Combs redecorate a whole wing, a whole room with hundreds of mirrors for a freak-off? And again, whether we like it or not, orgies are not crimes. However, drugging people and then having sex with them while they are in a stupor, much as Courtney B described, is a crime. Joining me, Dr. Bethany Marshall, renowned psychoanalyst out of LA and author of Deal Breaker. You can see her now on Peacock. Jump in, Bethany.
Nancy, those floor to ceiling, across the floor mirrors are because men who commit sexual aggression, sexual assault are voyeurs. He probably spent a long time assembling these places to assault victims because that was a part of his sexual excitement. That was a part of preparing for these orgies.
This, as we learned that Sean Combs is not languishing in a tiny cell. He's moved on to greener pastures. Listen.
While the public has been led to believe Sean Diddy Combs is languishing in a tiny cell at the MDC, it turns out the disgraced mogul is having a blast behind bars. Combs has been moved to the lowest security unit in the prison, 4 North, where he has access to a tablet, cards, music, TV, movies, ping pong, air hockey, and even a peep show. Who needs expensive freak-offs when you can spy on female inmates through a grate in the floor?
Joining us, Hermania Rodriguez from Daily Mail. What? Explain to me his new living conditions?
Right, so he remains in the same Brooklyn jail, but he hasn't been moved to a part of the jail that's for high-profile inmates. In this part of the jail, the president of Honduras has been, Bankman Fried is also held there, and it's the idea is to keep these famous inmates safe from others. But as you mentioned, it also provides them with a few extra privileges that inmates that have been there before, say, include being able to look at the female inmates who this person said, this former inmate said the female inmates like to put on a show and even lift up their shirts as they see the male prisoners walk by. So yeah, it sounds like Diddy is in a better situation now than he was at the beginning in the jail.
Joining me, Robert Crispin, private investigator at Crispin Special Investigation, but former federal task force officer with the DOJ and DEA Miami Field Division. You can find him at crispininvestigations.com. Robert, why is he, Sean Combs, who has allegedly victimized so many women while they're drugged, why is he getting to look at female inmates?
Well, I'll tell you this. He's got some problems coming, and they're probably moving him down there to give him a little more freedom to get him out of general population where he's going to get stabbed or beat up in the middle of the night. Down in these areas, there's less population, and it's a little bit more easily controlled where, you know, New York jail's going to have a problem on their hand if somebody ends up stabbing Diddy and killing him.
You could be too with the ocean as your backyard. I ain't got to. And I'm going to allow myself to not have mango.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.
A former Playboy model claims Diddy invited her and two friends to a Tokyo party that she now believes was a freak-off. When Kennedy and two friends arrived to Combs' hotel room, Combs was alone in a bathrobe with a bottle of champagne.
Kennedy claims as soon as Combs hung up the phone, he removed his clothing and instructed the women on how to perform on him. The incident only became frightening when a security guard angrily burst into the room and forced all of the women out the door, angry that Combs slept with his girl from the club.
Combs is now housed in a dorm-style unit of the MDC reserved for up to 20 high-profile prisoners. 4 North is known to have looser rules than Gen Pop and boasts marginally better meals than what Combs was receiving on Suicide Watch, including chicken sandwiches, hot dogs, and wings. In addition to many forms of entertainment, Combs is allowed 300 minutes of phone time each month, but still does not get a pillow for his less than twin-size bed.
Joining us now, Lynn Shaw, founder, executive director, Lynn's Warriors, committed to ending sexual exploitation and trafficking, and host of Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Lynn, thank you for being with us. Lynn, so I don't know if you got the gist of this, but Sean Combs, in his new digs, has the ability to stare at female inmates and is living in a dorm-style atmosphere with an upgraded menu. Thoughts?
My thoughts are chicken sandwiches and all of this, and he has peepholes where he's able to communicate with women. You couldn't write this. This is a bad Hollywood script. Listen, our sources told us all along he was getting special privileges. We heard this right away. No, I didn't have any proof, but I heard he was getting better food. I heard he was getting special things that other people weren't, such as phone privileges. I heard all kinds of things, and now it's coming out. But to have polls, this must be done on purpose. Come on now. As a special prisoner, whatever he is, an inmate in this Manhattan detention center, that has been known as a rat's nest for years. He has been put in a spot where he can. I am saying on purpose, there are holes in the floor so he can have access to women. This is disgusting. And how did the victims of all sex trafficking or abuse like this, exploitation, when they read things and hear things like this, what is going through their minds? They are disgusted, and they've all reported to me they don't expect this case to go anywhere. Somehow, some way, he's going to be cut loose, or somebody else is going to be taking the main fall for all of this. But I can't believe we even have to discuss. He's communicating, and I know it's a family show, Nancy, but, you know, things they're doing reportedly through these peepholes, I'm disgusted, and everybody else should be too. And let's call for what is going on here. We need some answers about this. This is unacceptable.
I think what you're referring to is commonly called a and I will not elaborate on that, but from what I understand, he has full and unfettered view of female inmates. And it sounds to me, to high-profile lawyer Ariel Mitchell, who is representing many of the alleged victims connected to this case, as well as Courtney B. Ariel, it sounds to me like he's being rewarded. Sean Combs is being rewarded. Why should he get rewards as opposed to anybody else in MDC?
Well, unfortunately, that's the world we live in, where celebrities receive better treatment in all scenarios, even when they've committed crimes. So we need to ask ourselves as a society, why are we treating people differently just because they have status, just because they're a celebrity, just because they have money, especially somebody like Diddy, who has committed so many atrocities and so many crimes over the past 3 decades, spanning numerous, we don't even know how many victims that there really are. We're at hundreds of victims just right now that we know of. But of course, in our country, in our society, we reward and give people preferential treatment just because of who they are. And that's why he's being rewarded.
Back to Lynn Shaw of Lynn's Warriors, and you can hear her on YouTube at Lynn's Warriors. Lynn, I didn't hear your response to the fact that $500,000 worth of refurbishing a large area so Sean Combs could have floor to wall to ceiling mirrors during the freak-offs. Freak-off, what a euphemism. That's certainly putting perfume on the pig. According to prosecutors, what freak-offs really are drugging and intoxicating women, slipping drugs into their drinks, and more, so they have no idea what is happening around them while they are videoed being. That's what a freak-off is, according to prosecutors. And now we learn, I can't wait for a jury to hear this if it's true, that floor to wall to ceiling is mirrored at Sean Combs' request so he can see sex everywhere he looks.
I can't even believe, I'm going to just say it, Nancy, this old guy, I don't want to bring it up before, but we have heard such disgusting reports coming out of Manhattan Detention Center. We've got our sources here. I'm boots on the ground here in the middle of New York City. People tell me things. Listen, disgusting. And Ariel pegged it right away. Money talks, fame, even though all of these horrible alleged crimes, and I put that in air quotes here as I'm standing here, they should have nothing to do with this guy, yet that's what talks in our society. This is the morality going on today. There are probably thousands and thousands of victims, and I'm just going to say it. You're going to find out. There were minors involved. That is my opinion. That's what I've heard. And how he can even be given mirrors and this and that and chicken sandwiches, whatever he's eating there. You know what? He could eat some bad tuna fish and have some food poisoning. That's what I have to say about this guy, because he is just dominating this whole story with his lawyer, and I'm tired of it. Let's talk about the victim. Let's talk about the abuse they endured. Let's get this case going and find out who else is involved. Why is he the only one in jail? He had accomplices. He had people booking flights and rooms and this and that, and women involved. There are always women involved with these pimp traffickers, whatever we're calling.
Joining me now, high-profile lawyer Eric Faddis, trial lawyer, TV analyst, and partner at Varner Faddis Elite Legal, former felony prosecutor. Eric, thank you for joining us. Here is the reality, whether people like it or not. In our country, under our U.S. Constitution, you cannot be prosecuted for failure to act. If I stood by and watched you drown in the Mississippi River, I could not be prosecuted for that. I don't have a duty. Of course I would, Eric. I don't have a duty to jump in and try and save you. It's just that simple. So if there are celebrities, which I believe there were, at these parties, at some of the freak-offs, the fact that they did not intervene does not make them a criminal. And I also find it really suspicious that everybody's talking about celebrities, but nobody's naming any names. If you've got proof, fine, put up or shut up.
Yeah, Nancy, I hear you, and I would save you if you were drowning too. But yeah, in looking at this, I think there's going to be a lot of folks who are sort of not culpable participants. They were just observers. They were there, but they're caught up in this huge saga for which there is clearly a stigma, for which they may have a negative association going forward professionally and otherwise. And for some of these folks, that they frankly, this was completely unbeknownst to them. They didn't know what was happening, and they were simply at this party. Now, being at a raucous party is not in and of itself a crime. Now, if they had knowledge of some kind of misconduct and provided material aid, that is where we begin to cross the line between an innocent observer and a culpable participant.
In another resurfaced video, singer Machine Gun Kelly, or MGK, describes his wild Las Vegas New Year's Eve bender with Diddy when he was just 20 years old. MGK says Diddy escorted him to 9 clubs on New Year's Eve, paying for roughly 270 bottles to supply them and an entourage of women. Eventually, MGK tried to say his goodnights, but Diddy told him, "We're not going to sleep." The singer says the partying continued for more than 48 hours.
Real estate experts believe the tales of gigantic orgies and freak-offs at Sean Combs' LA mansion are scaring off potential buyers. The stunning 17,000 square foot property has reportedly attracted no serious offers despite being on the market for more than 60 days. The listing has an asking price of nearly $62 million, but experts say Combs' realtor may have to find a buyer that can look past the headlines, or the home will continue to languish on the market.
I wouldn't want to touch that place with a 10-foot pole. Ew, what family's going to want to move into Diddy's mansion? Everywhere you look, you can imagine a freak-off and smeared baby oil laced with GHB. Okay. Apparently, nobody is touching Diddy's mansion. Wow. I wonder why. Straight out to crimeonline.com investigative reporter Sydney Sumner. Did I get those figures right? $62 million? And is that real?
Completely correct, Nancy. It's just under 62 million. It's about 61.3, I believe, is the listing price. And nobody is coming in touch with that home. Apparently, there's been reports that some overseas buyers have been looking into the home, but nothing serious. Nobody wants to move in there.
You know, a lot of times, Sydney, you and I have covered cases where after a crime, the whole place is just razed, it's just torn down. Maybe that's what they're going to have to do in this case. Hey, to you, Robert Crispin, this is your neck of the woods. Robert Crispin, private investigator at Crispin Special Investigations, former federal task force and DEA in Miami. You can find him at crispininvestigations.com. Robert, have you ever been in a strip club?
Of course.
Okay, let me clarify. Your Honor, let me refine my question. Have you ever been in a strip club in waking hours in the daylight?
Yes, many times.
I mean, all the magic is gone. I've been in many a strip club in waking hours to find witnesses. And when you look in there in the daylight, it is disgusting. It's filthy. There's like wads of hair, food. It smells. It is disgusting. And that's just what I can imagine his mansion is like.
Right. Dead everywhere. And that's why you don't want to sit on the couch. And knowing what went on inside there is nothing that I certainly want to purchase.
Okay, hold on just a moment. Hold on just a moment. To Lynn Shaw. Okay, Lynn, I know you have a very serious mission, which is ending exploitation of women and minors with Lynn's Warriors. But I really think what Crispin just unwittingly, I think, said sums up the sale of Diddy's home, or the lack thereof. You don't want to sit on a couch.
You don't want to sit on a couch. Here's what we hear is going on. We hear that foreign buyers will purchase the property. They will ruin, they will knock down the place, raise the place, and it will just be a parcel of land that somebody will rebuild on. But you know what I want to do, Nancy? I want to purchase it myself in my dream world, my Lynn's Warriors, do an exorcism, a cleansing of all, build a beautiful big mansion and start putting in victims of sexual abuse, exploitation, and give them wraparound services, and take this horrible, awful, unending story that has only just begun and turn it into something positive. Turn it around to provide for victims. That's what I want to do in my Warriors world, because this guy has gotten away with this for decades. And now,
Okay, well, I've got some bad news for you. I hate to be the bearer of ill tidings, Lynn, but I imagine that the overseas buyers are going to beat you out. You're not going to get to turn this into some type of a home for victims. I don't know that they'd want to be there anyway. But that said, the attempted sale of Sean Combs' mansion is just another attempt to raise money. What else is he doing? And why does he need money so desperately? Listen.
Once estimated as a billionaire, Sean Combs' legal fees are leaving him strapped for cash. With his Los Angeles mansion failing to sell, Combs has turned to renting out his Gulfstream 550 on the flight share site Victor, dubbed the Uber of private jets. The $60 million distinctive black jet can accommodate up to 14 passengers. A chartered flight from NYC to LA costs a cool $100,000, while a longer flight, say from LA to London, runs upwards of $400,000.
And that's right, Sean Combs now renting out his $60 million private jet. To Sydney Sumner, what can you tell me?
Nancy, we know that this plane is available for charter on multiple websites. It's owned by Combs' Love Air LLC. We don't know how much money it's really making him, and it feels like a very desperate attempt to loosen up some more cash. We know that Combs' brand is very heavily tied to his public image, which is currently in the toilet. And he also burned bridges with his biggest income source, Diageo, that was the owner of his liquor companies, Ciroc and De Leon Tequila. So Combs really has no income coming in right now whatsoever. So this feels like a very desperate attempt to generate some cash, but he's also not using the plane. So it does kind of make sense.
All those private defense attorneys don't come cheap. I mean, straight back up to you, Faddis. I guarantee you these lawyers are charging, what, $500 to $1,000 an hour?
Easy, yeah. I think the total price tag on this thing is going to be multi-millions. That's just on the legal representation side.
And there's more. Listen.
Diddy may never regain the immense wealth he accumulated over his career. Many of Combs' income sources relied entirely on his personal brand. Ciroc and De Leon, Sean John, and Revolt TV, for example. With the current standing of Combs' public image, businesses and big-name brands will likely want nothing to do with him. While Combs recently released a new album, a world tour could be out of the question. For 15 years to life.
In the last hours, we learned that Sean Puffy Combs is renting out his $60 million blacked out private jet. Who is renting this jet for $120,000 one way up to $400,000 for a round trip? Well, guess what? Since he has been behind bars, Sean Combs' jet has flown to French Polynesia, New Zealand, LA, and Mexico. To Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us out of Beverly Hills, psychoanalyst. Dr. Bethany, who is paying this kind of money to fly on Diddy's jet?
You know, Nancy, I hate to break it to you, but there are a lot of sex offenders in the general population and people who idealize sexual violence and who are very identified with it. And I am afraid somebody is going to come forward and buy that $62 million mansion because they will like the memories associated with it. And these are the type of people who want to be on that fancy jet. People who overlook violence, people who love violence, people who want to insert themselves into the notoriety of Sean Puffy Combs. Nancy, even the celebrities at those parties, this is not a homogeneous group. This is a group of people, they're all different, and they may have been unwittingly committing crimes themselves because they may have taken drugs, they may have been on ecstasy, they may have not really known what was happening and then slipped into an offending pattern themselves, and now they are frightened. So we have people on those jets that love P. Diddy, that want to be around him. There is often a glorification of sexual violence, and that is the undercurrent of this story. That sexual violence is prevalent.
Well, actually, Dr. Bethany, I think you may be right. Does anybody remember the Playboy Mansion? In 2016, the Playboy Mansion was bought by Dairy Metropolis for $100 million. And you know, it wasn't worth $100 million. The buyer wanted to be attached to the image of the Playboy Mansion.
Nancy, you wouldn't believe in my Beverly Hills practice how many patients of mine talked about going to the Playboy Mansion, and they loved the idea. It made them feel like a celebrity. It made them feel special, and they glorified it. They did not put their thoughts together about women who were being treated as objects. It's like that went out of their mind. Same as Jeffrey Epstein's island. Look at all the people who went there. Philanthropists, billionaires, CEOs, attorneys. And that is because, Nancy, there is a prevailing attitude in our culture that it's okay to treat women as objects.
You know, we were talking earlier about no one buying Diddy's mansion. Lynn Shaw had an idea about what she wanted to do with the mansion. Refurbish it, clean it, number one, with a hose, but then have victims live in it, which is, you know, never going to happen, Bethany. Which is never going to happen, Lynn, because nonprofits like yourself could never afford it. Multimillionaires can. But I've got an idea. Straight back out to high-profile lawyer Eric Faddis joining us. Eric, the money from the sale of that mansion could be ordered to go to victims. But here's the rub, Faddis. He hasn't been convicted of anything. So any money from the sale of the mansion or the rental of the private jet, which, by the way, has had at least 30 trips in the last 2 months. Somebody's renting that thing for a lot of money. None of that money is going to go to alleged victims because there's not a conviction yet.
Yeah, right now, I mean, the money being generated is likely just for his legal team. Those bills have to be out of control. And on top of that, he doesn't have the same income coming in. He doesn't have these deals anymore that are giving him millions of dollars. Now, Nancy, as you know, some states do have civil forfeiture statutes. And if they could link either the property or the airplane with criminal activity, there's at least an argument that prosecutors could try to obtain some of those assets and convert them to some sort of beneficial use that is not paying Diddy's legal fees.
Think about it. This blacked out, fully customized jet that Diddy gifted to himself a couple of years ago was his pride and joy. He called it the Uber of private jets. Now,
whew, when I tell you, it gets stranger and stranger. And I just want to say thank you, Nancy Grace, for staying on the case and getting us answers we had no idea. I want to know, what are your thoughts about this? Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe here at the Messy Sweet Spot. And I'll see you guys on another video. And again, happy holidays.